Hello, good people. Bitcoin prices flashed up to the level of 60,000 on this Thursday. Intraday, it reached a value close to 60,000 from all the way up from 126,000 that reached earlier in the October 2025. Similarly, all the other coins intraday, the prices dropped. Bitcoin fell 16%, Ether fell about 17%, Solana fell down about 18%, Dogecoin fell 18%, XRP beleaguered, it fell 23% intraday. Next day, although the prices bounced back, so Bitcoin bounced about 7% to 68,000 on Friday. Ether bounced 6%. Solana bounced about 6.5%. Dogecoin bounced 8%, and XRP bounced 24%, almost made up the loss from earlier day. So why this Bitcoin sell-off is happening? There is a massive sentimental change amongst the investors. Earlier, people used to consider Bitcoin is a digital gold. But if you look at the price of gold, which actually has been surging in last couple of months, whereas the prices of Bitcoin is going in the opposite directions. I can show you in this curve where you see this upward sloping curve, where the gold prices, so it's going up this way, and the Ether is actually going in the opposite directions. So people are having doubts whether this really works out as a digital gold, which is a replacement of like a gold, or people used to think that they will be able to transact Bitcoin everywhere, but it hasn't been like this. Nobody accepts Bitcoin whenever you want to make a transaction. So, or go to Starbucks and pay your cup of coffee paying in Bitcoin. So that hasn't happened yet. So people are having a lot of suspicion that is that really true, and also like a lot of heavy institutional sellers are stepping in. And since last November, there has been a net seller of Bitcoin by about 7 billion. And in December, another 2 billion. And January, 3 billion. So, all in all, about 13 billion worth of Bitcoin. There are more sellers. Previous year, earlier, people used to have more positive buyers of Bitcoin. So, a lot of sellers stepping in. And there, it has created a spiral effect because of short sellers and basically margin pressure, where suddenly the prices have dropped. People are basically forced to sell more, liquidate these Bitcoins. So that has created a spiral effect, and during intraday prices have had this kind of huge volatility, falling about 15, 16, 18, all the way up to 25% of certain kind of these coins. And other things are macroeconomic factors is also adding. So the hawkish, basically the comments from Federal Reserve regarding interest rates, that they're not going to be cutting rates, is not helping. And Trump's new nominee, Kevin Wolf, he's also he's a hawk, doesn't want to cut interest rates. The other thing is the shift in sentiment I mentioned already, and also on top of geopolitical uncertainty. There's a lot of tension going on between United States and Iran at this time, and the war going on between Ukraine and Russia. So the war there is a possibility that there could happen a war between Iran and United States at any time regarding this nuclear discussion. And suddenly, in poly markets, you could see showing up about 30% of a possibility that there could be a war by the end of this month, which is not a high percentage, but it can suddenly spike up. The proxy stock, MicroStrategy, that also had a huge sell-off, because there's a huge correlation between MicroStrategy and Bitcoins are very highly correlated. And intraday, MicroStrategy stock almost fell over 20%. but it did bounce back on the previous on Friday to made up a lot of this grain. So what may be happening going forward, since this stock has bounced back? A lot of people think that this may be the bottom, because Bitcoin had a 52% drawdown since basically October of last year. And then this kind of drawdown did not happen before. Earlier, like I think there is about 8% sell-off that happened during this Trump announcement of tariffs in April of earlier year. So the Bitcoin had sold off about 8%, but not 15, 16% that happened this Thursday. So this may be, a lot of people think that this may be at least some kind of minimum price it has reached, and it has bounced back, and it might bounce back rather quickly. So a lot of there are people have skepticism, and there are some kind of believers. So some people are buying Bitcoins thinking that nobody knows what can happen, but people are taking some positions this time. Maybe it may not be right time to bail out everything. Have some kind of dollar cost averaging buying, because it's a all-time low. It's at a very low. Bitcoin is at very low price after a big sell-off. So dollar cost averaging, actually you can build a position at various at price level. This is a very low prices. So if you're a buyer, and if the stock, if the prices of Bitcoin, it picks up higher, and if you buy more, and probably there's a possibility that you may do better. But again, I am not like a stock advisor or like a financial advisor, so you could please do your own research and make positions regarding Bitcoins. But this is a very unusual time in the financial market, both basically for stocks, bonds, gold, so all kinds of volatility. So, and that's where sometimes people make more money when it's everything, there's a lot of fear in the market, and people who step in and put their own money using taking risk, and they make good profits down the line. But again, there could be further loss also, nobody can say. If you like this video, I would appreciate if you hit the like button, and also subscribe my channel. I'd appreciate it, and have a wonderful day. Thanks.